the entrepreneurs who want to take that next leap are still doing things that's making them $1 million a year. They're not doing the activities that's going to make them $10 million a year. So my job is to go, what are you doing and how can we change that? And I help them become better leaders and delegators and hire a better team around them, rather than just give them more of their problem, which is, here's more marketing strategies. Well, that just slows them down further.
Welcome to Barbell Business. I'm Mike Blutzer here with Doug Larson and Marcus Gurzy, and we're up here in Chino Hills visiting Bedros Keuilian. He's the CEO and founder of Fit Body Boot Camp, and you've come up through the fitness industry over the years. You started as a personal trainer, and now you train personal trainers. You train gym owners and business owners on how to better run their business, and you also, we just found out, you run one of the largest, or the largest, mastermind.
Yeah, the largest business mastermind on the planet, apparently.
Yeah, so you're not just training people who are running Fit Body Boot Camps, but you also help people with digital information products and stuff like that. What is all of your offerings right now?
Sure. So the hierarchy of my business is really, I have a handful of information products, digital information products, and people will usually find those, and that'll give an increase of $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month increase in their business. Kind of teaches them systems, operations, and so on. But the higher level stuff are my 3 mastermind groups. One of them is information marketing that I run with Craig Ballantyne. The 7-figure formula mastermind, which is the biggest one I just did, with over 200 members in Las Vegas. And of course, we have a mastermind for our Fit Body Bootcamp owners who want to open up multiple locations. So those are the 3 big masterminds, collectively over 400 members in it. And when we get them all together, it becomes quite the circus show, but we've got it dialed in. And of course, I've got my Fit Body Bootcamp franchise, which we started the franchise in 2012. And now we have over 500 locations worldwide. We're adding between 15 and 20 new locations on the map every month. And this past September, Inc. magazine gave us they put us on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing 5,000 franchises, or 5,000 fastest growing businesses, I should say, out of 18.5 million businesses in the U.S. So that was a pretty cool accolade to get.
Congrats.
Nice.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you went from personal trainer who was, you were bouncing at clubs at one point, where you had a hard time just getting enough clients, making enough money to make that your full-time gig, to teaching everybody else how to do it, and then now running like this huge organization that's making a really big impact.
Yeah, and I still look at myself. So here's really how the story goes. We came from a foreign country. So my dad was a member of the Communist Party in Armenia, and at the time Armenia was under Soviet rule. And unbeknownst to me, I was 6 years old. We were going to escape Russia, and we go into Italy because they're communist sympathizers, and that was like, we're going on a vacation, right? And so my dad had to make it look like that the whole family's going on vacation, and we only took 2 suitcases and some clothes, and that's that. But he knew that once we got into Italy, we're going to go into the American consulate and go, hey, we're political refugees. We never want to go back to the Soviet Union. If we do, they're going to kill us. He's denouncing communism. And he also knew that he was going to be a good asset to the American government, because in the 80s, Cold War, right? And so he gave as much information to the government as he could, to the U.S. government, about Soviet Union. We entered the United States in 1980, broke, poor, don't speak the language, don't understand the culture. But all we knew, all my dad kept brainwashing, is we have freedom, we have opportunity, and if you work hard, you can become anything you want. So I became kind of jaded and just assumed that as long as this country is going to guarantee you wealth and prosperity, as long as you work hard. So I put my head down and worked. And I suppose if he said this country's broke and you're never going to make it, I would have done that. I was a kid. You listen to your dad. And so, all right, Pops, I'll work hard. But when I became a personal trainer, it was only because I was a fat kid in high school and I wanted to lose weight to go to prom. So the senior year, early senior year, I started working out, lost like 30, 40 pounds. I was like a fat, overweight kid, like grew up on government food, and which was fine. You know, they fed us, gave us bologna, white bread, whatever we needed to eat. But I was inactive, whatever. And I realized, never mind the physical transformation, the psychological, emotional change that came with getting in shape, more confident. I all of a sudden started talking to my fellow students instead of just walking around the campus during lunch. I hated lunch because I never fit in with the jocks, with the geeks, with no one. I was a foreigner no matter what. And so it's like, wow, all of a sudden people are paying attention to me. And I liked that change. So when I got out of high school, it was easy for me to go, I'm not going to do college. It's not for me. I was never good with school in general. And I ended up getting a certification because in the back of the magazines, muscle magazines, earn $100 per hour as a certified personal trainer. Listen, I'm not a mathematician, but
Sold.
I can do math. So I did the math. Okay, if I just train 6 clients a day, because there's some drive time, $100, that's $600 a day. That's a good lifestyle. That's a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
Fellas, when I got certified, I had 3 clients. I was charging them $17 an hour, going to their house. I was probably losing money every time I would train them. And what's worse is I was so broke that I had to work as a fry cook at Disneyland and a bouncer at a gay bar because the gay bar did pay more. Truthfully, what happened is skinheads would come at night and wait in the parking lot to gay bash. So it was our job, the bouncers, to make sure that the patrons made it to their cars safely.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
That's intense.
Rough times.
Yeah, all I knew is they're paying $3 more per hour. No one told me why and I should have asked. Like,
$3 more? Sold.
Surprise.
yeah, $3 more per hour to someone who's broke, that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Well, I quickly found out the first night why. And as I was telling you earlier, dude, I'm not a fighter. I can talk my way out of any fight. You know, I just love building relationships and going, look, if I was wrong, I'm sorry. I fucked up. Let's make this right.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to fight. And I remember thinking to myself on a particular Friday night, there's no nurse or lawyer or doctor who's a professional and also has a side job as a bouncer or a fry cook. Yet it's so normal in the fitness industry, whether you own a box, a boot camp, a personal training studio, we have these side jobs and it's become an accepted part of it. I was like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm going to ask one of my personal training clients because I realized I've got built-in mentors. If you're buying one-on-one personal training from me, odds are you're doing well in life. Let me find out what it is that you do, how you created your business, how can I use some of that wisdom to create a business.
Yeah, we definitely found that to be true when we were running our gym. In the beginning, we attracted some people that made a lot of money, even though we, weren't doing running the best business, but they liked the training, they liked us.
Yeah.
And we were able to tap a lot of people that had a lot of special knowledge that were running businesses that were just kind of like making suggestions that really helped us out.
Yeah, and we can never afford those people either. Like if we're talking to a buddy of ours that's a lawyer and that person charges 10 times what we were going to charge, they're more than happy to share their advice with us because we're giving them something that is really valuable to them. But we've been training our whole lives and it's easy for us, but it's really important to them, and they were happy to share that knowledge back.
That's exactly it. And we forget as fitness professionals that we have built-in mentors and they care about us because we've changed their lives in ways that they couldn't change it, right? They lost weight, gained confidence, improved their marriage and their relationships, they're eating better, they're teaching their kids a better lifestyle. And all we have to do is go, hey, how do you do what you do? And they will fall over backwards to help us.
Yeah.
Once I realized that, I asked one of my clients, his name is Jim Franco, and he mentored me for the next 2 years. And by the end of 2 years, I had my first gym open, and subsequently I had 5 personal training gyms open in San Diego, North County, San Diego, within the next 3 years. And I was like, holy crap, I've got 65 trainers working for me. And these are all like 2,500 square foot personal training studios, not like mega gyms. But we were doing one-on-one personal training, making good money. I had a predictable business, and trainers were contacting me like, hey, how did you have 5 when I can't even open 1?
Yeah.
My only question to them was, are you in San Diego? And if they said no, because they're not a competitor, I'll help you. Here's what I did. And once you find a place, here's how you're going to negotiate the lease. Once you do that, while it's being built out, here's how you're going to get buzz out with lead boxes and whatever, right? Lead boxes and political signs were my big marketing thing back then. There was no Facebook back then.
A lot of people probably don't even know what a lead box is at this point.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I had to, like, as you were saying, I was like, what is he talking about? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I remember.
Maybe we should clarify it. It's like when you walk into a pizzeria and there's like a box that says enter your name and email address, and you can win a month of personal training or a gym membership somewhere.
I remember that.
I remember looking into those like right when we got started, and then it was like just as social media was getting enough traction, we were like, I don't think we should do this. Let's go do this other thing.
We did the email marketing instead. Yeah.
But the political science thing, we even did that. Not that. I mean, maybe like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and that worked like crazy even back then. We would set those things up all through the corporate parks, and it worked really well.
Dude,
it was $5 a sign.
That's it. And I figured out even the color scheme where it was like they were yellow and black, and because they stood out, right? And then I would set it up in the towns that we're going to open up our next gym in on a Thursday night. Because I knew on Friday the city's probably half-staffed, because the city doesn't want you to be peppering the entire town. I mean, I would take 300 of them on a Thursday night, pepper the entire town, entrance and exits of communities, freeway on-ramps, premier results, personal training coming soon, and then, our website so we can get opt-ins, right? Get leads, try a week free on our website. By Monday morning, they're contacting us saying, hey, if you ever do this again, we're going to fine you. But by that point, I got 150 people over the weekend on my email list, right?
Guerrilla marketing, baby.
And so, hey, I'm sorry, it'll never happen again. I'll take the signs down.
I didn't know any better.
That's it. Yeah. Exactly. But I did that 5 times over, and so anyway, and today, of course, once I had the opportunity to sell my 5 locations for a nice chunk of change, by this point it's 2003, 2004, and I go, do I want to open up more gyms? Because the only problem was I had 65 trainers working for me. Dude, I had trainers that got clients pregnant. I had trainers that were stealing money under the table. It happens, right?
It happens.
Yeah, I'm going to be fully transparent here. I'm not going to say I ran a perfect
the usual
business.
song and dance.
Well, probably half of people listening to this are nodding their heads like, yep, that happened to my gym.
Yeah. And if anyone who's naive enough to think it's not happening, it's just you haven't caught it yet.
Right.
It's happening.
Never happened in our place.
Right. And so where that's concerned, I said I don't want to open up more gyms right now. I like this idea of helping other trainers. I got a little taste of it for free. You know what? I wonder if I can charge money. And so I kind of went all in to the internet and started offering coaching, consulting services, and created my first info products. And, here we are now, I don't know, 12, 13 years later, and we have an empire, but I like to kind of look at myself as a 13-year overnight success. It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, people look at people like you all the time and go, man, how'd you get what you have? And you are fully aware, I've been an entrepreneur for X amount of years, and I've been broke, and everything's been, you've torn it down and built anew and things like that. And I think people get caught up in where you are right now.
That's that. Yeah. And they go, well, you're a unicorn. I'm not. It's like, dude, do you understand? I lived in the back of my Toyota pickup when I was broke, and I thank God I had a gym membership where I worked at, and I could shower, and the juice bar lady was kind enough to give me a hard-boiled egg in between. So I wasn't born with this marketing brilliance. It was something that's just installed over time because I decided that if I'm going to make a bigger impact, I need to learn how to influence people and not just build a better mousetrap and hope that they come into my box or my gym.
Yeah, what was the switch for you? Because I know a lot of trainers and coaches who, they want to do more of the same in order to get clients, which means what fitness certification do I want to get, or they're hyper focused on just one or two things, but marketing and sales have this it's dirty words to use.
It's so taboo in our industry.
What was that switch for you?
The switch for me was obligation, and what I mean by that is I remember saying to people, usually my coworkers, I can't believe Mrs. Jones didn't sign up with us here at Premier Results at our gym, because we later hear that they signed up at, let's say, LA Fitness for personal training, right? And be like, they have lesser trainers, and I can't believe she signed up there, and they actually charge just $5 less, big deal. But at the end of the day, I realized I have an obligation. If I'm upset about the other trainers out there who are crappy, aren't as well educated, don't care as much, I've got an obligation to sell you before you go and do something stupid by hiring a lesser trainer or getting one of those informational products from the TV, that Abdominizer or Elliptical or whatever, right?
The Gazelle.
Yeah, the Gazelle, right? God bless Tony Little. I mean, he's made an impact on it. But come on, right? And so at the end of the day, I go, dude, I've got an obligation. And so I need to start being a pussy and complaining about the other guys that got the client. And I need to close that client. And it's not going to be my certifications or my good looks that close them. I need the gift of gab, and I need to understand what their pain is and position my product as a solution to that. So it's no longer, let's do an overhead squat and see if your heels leave the floor. I'll give them that once they become a client. Right now, it's, why are you here? What do you want?
Why does this matter to you?
What keeps you awake at night? Why does it matter? What is the timeline that we want to achieve the weight loss in? I'll peel the onion until they're crying. Now I've sold you. And I'll sell you my training programs any way I can, short of, fraudulently selling it to you. Because if I don't, the alternative is lap band, a lesser trainer, the Abdominizer or Gazelle, and I can't have that because I've got an obligation. So once I said I've got an obligation and duty, my perspective changed, and it's like, what do I do then to never let anyone else walk away from me? And I kind of call it going from amateur to pro, like Stephen Pressfield talks about in his book, Turning Pro.
Yeah, we went through a similar thing. I actually had a gym open for close to a little over a year, and I look at that year as that was the year it was a hobby.
Yes.
And that was, I opened it up and just kind of like, I was like, oh, how much money do I need to make to keep it open? And then I only, it was like, oh, how much money do I need to make? Well, I don't need to make that much. And then the whole reality of, I'm going to have to get a fucking second job. And then that was a part of it. There was a lot of dominoes that fell for me, but there was a moment where I was like, oh, I'm running a business. Shit. Okay, now we have a whole nother set of things to learn.
I tend to think of it as like you're being a professional helper. You're just asking somebody what they want, and then you're saying, oh, now that I know what you want, I have this thing that is exactly what you want. Here it is.
You nailed it. And I'll tell you why. In one of my programs called Closed Clients, where I teach trainers how to sell, and that is the most difficult thing that a trainer wants to learn, because we look at selling as used car salesman trying to sell me a feature I don't need. But really and I call it, you're not a salesperson. You're the assistant buyer. You're a helper. You're an assistant buyer. You just help them make the right decision. And the right decision is not lap band, because there's all types of issues that could happen with that. They may not wake up from the anesthesia, or they don't learn good eating habits, so they get fat again. So we've got this obligation. Unless we meet that obligation, people are going to go train somewhere else, and all we're going to do is try and find a second job, which, fuck that. I'm not in the business of having a second job. I love what I do. I want to do more of it.
I like the idea of reframing and renaming it. You're an assistant buyer, and now there's not such a stigma around it, because even if you try to convince somebody that being a salesperson is a good thing, if they have that just drilled into their head over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, it's hard to pull out of that. If you can rename it and rebrand it and just change the mindset around the terminology, then it's easier to come out of it thinking a different way.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's a reframe. And I remember Lewis House talking about, might have been right on this podcast, that adversity is an advantage. And I was like, holy crap. So if I look at adversity as just a set of dumbbells, we put our muscles through adversity all day long to grow them, right? Heavier dumbbells over a longer period of time, arms are going to get bigger. Well, adversity in business builds your entrepreneurial muscles. Once he said that, and it was on this podcast because I remember watching it, I was like, holy crap. I want more adversity in my life as an entrepreneur so I can grow my entrepreneurial muscles bigger, faster, stronger. And if you look at it that way, it becomes a reframe. So you're looking for the suck factor. You're welcoming the suck factor instead of going, oh, man.
Dude, we're doing awesome.
They're all opportunities to learn, to grow, and become a better entrepreneur.
That's it.
So I'm curious, you have a large mastermind, you have all the Fit Body Bootcamp stuff, you have digital information products, you have your hands in a lot of different areas right now. So how do you do so many different things and continue to do all of them well and not spread yourself too thin?
Good question, because in reality, there should be about 36 people standing here around me, which is everyone upstairs, my entire team, right? From Chelsea, who obviously organized this thing, to my team, who makes me look so great, whether we're putting on an event like Fitness Business Summit, 1,000 trainers from 12 different countries attend for 3 days, or a mastermind, sell a franchise. It can't happen without a strong team, and the strong team is built by a great leader, a person who leads from the front and doesn't just say, go do this, but I'm going to wake up at 8 a.m. I want to wake up before my team. They get their Monday morning email every Monday morning. I send them an email before they get here. Mindset, personal productivity, professional productivity, because I want them to be on the same page. They know the culture, they know the vision, they know where we're headed, they know when we expect to get there. So we work collectively. Does that mean we don't have off days, or we don't accidentally hire people who are not fighter jets? Because I was telling you earlier, we only hire fighter jets. Or we get someone who's got fighter jet potential, but they've been hanging out with crop dusters, so they're like, you know what, I'm the best crop duster in town. No, motherfucker, you're a fighter jet. You're a fighter jet. No one told you those are missiles that are hanging off you, right? And so we'll get them in here, and we'll groom them into the leaders and fighter jets they need to become. And those that do, great. Those that don't, the pressure is so high they leave. And we're okay with that too.
Yeah,
that's how we build this thing.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about how to make those hires and build that team of fighter jets.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jeff Stoffel. I'm the owner of Centripetal CrossFit in Erie, Colorado. I was in the classic startup phase. I was coaching 32 classes a week of our 35. So I was there 6 days a week, doing basically all of the coaching in between classes, answering emails, running through billing, trying to strap together marketing, and just whatever popped into my head. We've created a space that is the best part of everybody's day. They know it, and they know as long as they get to the gym, their day is going to be better, and that's very clear. So membership grew because of that fact, but wasn't growing because of good business process or a good marketing system or any of those things. Just kind of stuck at this 60 member mark, and thinking, you know, how do we do more? I need to be able to hire somebody to go get the people to pay for that person, and felt stuck where I was at, didn't really know where to go. The first call that I had with Angelo ever, free intro call, hey, I'm struggling, we've met, I liked your intensity, and if you guys haven't met Angelo, you never have to wonder what he's thinking. He'll tell you. You don't have to read between the lines. Within 2 weeks, I started to basically just, because I've bought in to working with somebody, really take the advice and take it to the next level. So I'd say within 2 weeks, had a few major breakthroughs, doing silly stuff that we all know we should do, but typically don't have the balls to do it on our own without a push. And so that was increase my prices and start contracts. I am coaching fewer classes, so I'm down to about 20 classes a week, and that's a slow process to develop coaches that do a job I'm proud of. Memberships increased, so we were at 60 when I started with Angelo. Gosh, it's been 3 months now, and we're up to 75, so a very significant increase. The biggest effect on the business has been developing as a leader. It's happened very quickly, rather than being stuck thinking about an idea and the analysis paralysis, thinking through too many steps before getting started. I have taken good ideas and gotten them started and fine-tuned them as we went, which is a much better solution on the implementation for me. I would look at yourself first and ask the question, do you think other people have learned the solution and the lesson that you're currently struggling with? If you think that this has been solved before, and in the CrossFit space, you're not doing this the first time, somebody else has. I would definitely dive into it. If you're not sure if you can afford it, definitely do it. I know that sounds silly, but you're investing in yourself. That investment is never going to go away. You're improving as a leader and probably a person if you're running things right when you get a coach, and you're buying into what you're selling. If you are an entrepreneur, you own a gym, and you don't have a coach, you are asking other people to do something that you aren't willing to do yourself, would be my opinion. So I would definitely encourage you to at least have a phone call, but come to them with what are your biggest struggles and see if they've got some ideas. This group does not mind, I think, adding some value for you to prove they're worth it. Definitely, Angelo's been worth it for me.
And we're back with Bedros. And we want to get back into, you started talking about hiring the fighter jets versus the crop dusters. And I think a lot of times people do end up, and especially in the gym industry, hire their buddies, or they have like their first members of the gym and they like them and they hire them because they like them, but not necessarily because they're the best person for the gig.
Correct. So when you think about what we do as humans, you go to a bar, you meet someone, right? And let's say the 5 of us go out to a bar, we meet a group of dudes and we hit it off. It's like, oh, you know what? Oh, they work out too, and we're similar mindset. So before you know it, we're sharing drinks with them, shooting shit. Well, that's great. We found similarities and we connected with them. Sadly, humans do the same thing everywhere they go. And we fill in the dots that because he works out and because he drinks and comes to this bar and listens to this type of music, we fill in the blanks. He must be a good guy like I am because I listen to that, I drink that, I come here. And so we must have more in common. Well, the reality is that's where the commonality stopped. And so when we're hiring staff, we still, during the interviews, go based on, they're going to give you a resume and the bullet points are exactly what you want to hear. I can multitask. I know Excel and PowerPoint or whatever it is, or I've been certified. I got level 3 certification, this, that, and the other. It's great. But if I like them, I'm not going to hire them just because I like them, because they still might not have the people skills. And so typically we now go through a 3-interview process. And even before we bring anyone on board, if we're posting on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Craigslist for a opportunity to work with us, it's not just, here's what we're looking for, send us a resume. Here's what we're looking for. By the way, we're very demanding, so you may not want to work with us. But if you still want to consider working with us, watch this YouTube video. Click a link, go watch a YouTube video where they answer 3 questions, right? Especially if it's a higher level position like selling or marketing or whatever. If they answer the questions correctly, and notice they write your name in all lowercase, forget it, man. Your first name needs to be capitalized, right? So we look for the D, because how you respond to those questions in that email is how you're going to respond to my clients and customers. So if I'm assuming this is your best chance to put your best foot forward. And so if you're just rushed through the questions and attach your resume, we're not going to call you. So by filtering people to YouTube, having them watch a video, and then we get the resume, great. Now instead of 100 applicants, we've got 5, but they're 5 good ones. Today I interviewed 2 people for our content writing team. They were both solid. If I needed them, I can bring both of them on. But I picked the one dude instead of the other person because I thought he was a little more qualified. What he doesn't know is when he comes in Monday morning, we're going to go, surprise, you don't just work here. You just signed up on a personal development program. So you're going to be a better human working here, have higher expectations of you. You'll always be operating at an 8, 9, or 10, and not a 3, 4, 5 as far as your workload, stress level, adversity level. But we're going to teach you how to do that. And they go, what do you mean? It's a personal development company. I thought you sell franchises. We do. So our franchisees are taught to be the best versions of themselves. They're taught to teach their clients. The reason we're having clients lose 50, 80, 100 pounds, listen, if they're with you in your gym for 3 to 4 hours a week, it's not the workouts, it's what they're eating. And you and I know you can give them the diet plan, nutrition plan, but they're not going to follow it if they've got a husband who's a saboteur, if they've got kids who stress them out, if they've got friends who are like, oh, let's go drink some wine and cheese. What do you mean you're going to eat chicken and broccoli, right? So they're trying to pull them down into their level. So how can I teach my clients to be mentally strong, mentally tough, independent, not approval seeking, right? They want approval from the husband, the friends, or whatever. So they go, all right, fuck the diet, I'll go eat this. So we do the same thing with our staff. I don't want them to be approval seeking. I don't want them to just feel like I need to do my job and that's it. If you're brand new and you came up with an idea and you pitched it to me and it makes sense, you are now the lead until that idea reaches fruition. And so our entire hiring process, whether it's for our team here or our onboarding process for our franchisees, is we look at it as you're joining a personal development company who happens to do business in the fitness world. And you're going to be the best version of yourself. And so I'm going to set high expectations and you're going to meet it. I'm going to lead from the front by showing you how. And usually the stress will either get them out or get them to assimilate if they're type A and didn't realize they were type A. And most people don't because they hang out with betas. And so you'll see someone who's an alpha take on characteristics of a beta because that's all it's safe to hang out with the beta. Yeah. But when you put them in a group of alphas, they find, oh my gosh, we're cut from the same cloth. It's okay to be decisive. It's okay to make decisions. And if they're wrong decisions, course correct. That's what I want my team to do. I don't make great decisions every time. You don't. But you make a decision. If it's the wrong decision, you course correct fast. That's the secret to success.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, if you get the right people, like you're saying, having that frame coming into a position, they'll actually be more motivated to work here rather than less motivated, even though it's not what they signed up for necessarily. The retention with that person will be much stronger because they're developing as a person, because they're pursuing and achieving mastery, and because they're growing. They're not going to quit and go find something else to do because they're constantly making progress as a person.
That's exactly right. And when I forgot, maybe it was Jim Rome who said, your personal income will never exceed your personal development. And that's so true. And so if I expect my team this year to sell 20 locations a month, but next year 30, and the year after 40 locations a month to be on path with my vision, right, with 3,000 locations by the year 2020, well then I'm going to need them to constantly improve. Otherwise they're not going to be better at selling, marketing, retaining. And so I have an obligation, going back to obligation and duty, now I have an obligation to make them the best versions of themselves. Their life gets better, and it's the most selfish thing I can do because I've got a strong business now.
And so how do you do that with your people? Is that a group thing? Is that a one-on-one thing? Do they have like a personal mentor within the company? Are you speaking with each individual person, et cetera?
Yes, across the board. And I'll give you an example. So the group thing is June 21st or 22nd, Craig Ballantyne's coming out, and we paid him $25,000 to do a perfect life workshop that he does for CEOs and stuff that I've gone through with my team. Why do I want them to have a perfect life, to be disciplined, to be structured, to cut out the time vampires and energy vampires out of their life, to edit their relationships with the people that they have who are negative? Because how they feel and how they react to their boyfriends, spouses, girlfriends, etc., bleeds into here.
Oh, yeah.
I want them to have a perfect life. And so no better person for Craig to come in and run his perfect life workshop for me and my team. It's worth the $25,000 because if they just get 1 degree better, if she can set up 1 more podcast for me to have influence with a bigger group, if they can film just 2 more things per month that we can showcase on social media, my business continues to grow and they become the best versions of themselves. Even if they're going to ultimately leave here and have their own career, their own path, I've put better humans out into society, which we have an obligation to do. Also, that works on a one-on-one level. One of my team members confided in me and was like, hey man, I'm dealing with some personal demons and blah, blah, blah. I said, hey, I got just a guy for you, my therapist. I see a therapist because I can't deal with the anxiety attacks. We're growing very quickly. Some days I don't sleep well. Some weeks I don't sleep, some months I don't sleep well. And so I've got a therapist, right? His name is Kevin Downing right here in Brea. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hook you up with Kevin. I'm going to buy you 3 sessions with Kevin. And if you see that he can give you a breakthrough, you've got an obligation to find a way in your income to pay him. And so 2 of our team members are now working with my therapist. Why not? Why not? And so whether it's a one-on-one, if I sit with them or I refer them out to my therapist or to a book to read or here's a podcast to watch or I bring in someone like Craig, at the end of the day, the more they develop, they live better lives and they reach the standards and expectations that I set for our business.
Encouraging people to see a therapist is kind of a new thing in business, and I think a lot of times people think, I'm going to go see a therapist, there's something wrong with me. It's for people who are depressed and need Xanax or something like that. And then running around in the entrepreneurial world, and you start running into a lot of entrepreneurs that are going to see therapists, and it's usually because it's necessary to grow, like you were saying. You start realizing, I have to grow as a person if I want the business to grow. If I want to make a bigger impact, I have to be different. And so it's not so much about fixing something that's a problem as it is optimizing where you're already at. And so I think that now that a lot of entrepreneurs have embraced the therapy side, we all have, and then we talk about it and it's becoming normal to see somebody that help you. Basically, all they're doing is helping you see things differently, create a new, it's like, I got this person that's sitting outside of my life. They give me this objective perspective, and they help me see it differently and help me think of things that I wasn't considering before. And next thing you know, it's like having, an angel come down and just be like, hey, check it out. You might not be doing this the best way or looking at this the best way. What if you approach it this way? Next thing you know, everything starts clicking and everything's really smooth.
You nailed it. And I went to my doctor when I had my first anxiety attack. I thought it was a heart attack. So once it's over, I go, I just dodged a bullet. I better go tell my wife, hey man, I just think I had a minor heart attack. I'm 42 now. This was like a couple years ago, right? I'm like, I can't die now. There's no way I can have a heart attack. Well, we go, they do the EKG and start asking. Turns out it's an anxiety attack. I've never had one, so it freaked me out. Since then, I had a whole bunch more. The doctor puts me on Xanax, right? well, I wake up, there's no creativity, I'm drooling out the side of my mouth, I have no desire to work. This can't work. I can't do Xanax. So I started searching for therapists who work with entrepreneurs or high-level athletes who can fix them quickly. I just knew I needed fixing, right? And so when I went, in the first 2 weeks, my anxiety attacks went down by 80%. He taught me 4 letters. HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. It says when you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, HALT. The alcoholic is going to go back to booze. The drug addict is going to go back to drugs. The workaholic is going to go deeper into work until they just burn out and collapse and their marriage and their relationship falls apart. And so I realized, okay, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I just take a break, go and fuel myself, whether it's emotionally, relationally, food. So I was skipping workouts to build my empire. But in the meantime, my body
super common.
Right, right. And then all of a sudden, I'm no longer authentic. I'm in the fitness business, but I got a gut.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. We've run into gym owners and we've been there. I mean, I won't say we. I've been there myself, where I'm training twice a week, and I'm suggesting people train more frequently than that. I'm like, how am I supposed to tell them they're supposed to make this a priority if I'm not making it a priority?
Exactly right.
And having that wake up call is really good. And a lot of times when somebody does come through the door that we're advising and they're out of shape, they can come at me with as many business questions as possible, and I'm going, you got to get in shape. You got to be in alignment.
We are one of the few industries where you have to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there might be an attorney who's fat, skinny, short, tall. It won't matter. If they can get your legal problems fixed, you're golden. Dentist, I don't want you to have pussy teeth and dripping with blood. Personal trainer, I don't. Let me just give you a visual there, right?
Driving it home.
Yeah. I don't want that. I don't want a personal trainer to look like they're stressed, they haven't slept, and they're trying to suck it in. And we all see it. They'll take selfies and they'll put it on social media, and it's like from the chin up. Hey, give me a full selfie. Give me a selfie of you working out. I mean, fuck, man, be authentic, because otherwise you are trying to preach fitness, you're trying to get people into your program, but deep down inside, you know that you're not worthy of it, so you're not selling your $170 program like you should. You're selling it like it should be a $14 product, and they go, no, I'm going to go home and think about it, but you don't have the confidence to overcome the objection, so you go, okay, go home and think about it, and you hope they come back, but B-backs never come back. And all because you're holding on to 30 pounds of fat that you refuse to do something about.
Yeah. It's like the personal trainer who has problems selling personal training but won't pay for one themselves.
Right.
Fastest way to do it, go pay for one.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you find yourself in alignment with what you're trying to pitch. Not to mention you understand the value. It's easy to communicate.
Yeah.
Now it's easy.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I heard this, I believe, originally from Alan and Rachel Cosgrove, but there's some people that they don't want to spend money on their staff, like to send their staff to a certification or to a training workshop or a seminar, and it's $1,000 for the weekend or more. It definitely could be more. And what they ended up saying was, excuse me, I forget the quote. Just 1 second.
Crickets. You're fired.
I'm pulling a George W. Bush here, but so a lot of people say, "Oh, sorry. What if I spend all this money on them and then they leave?" Well, what they came back with was, well, what if you don't spend any money on them and they stay?
Oof.
And now you're stuck with someone who doesn't isn't the person that really belongs there. They didn't develop. Maybe they were kind to go when they showed up, and then you're developing as a person. The rest of your staff's developing as a person, and this person is now the boat anchor. They're dragging you down, and then you have to get rid of them. So you shouldn't worry about spending money on this person or spending time on that person, because you need them to develop. And if they leave, that's a fact of life. It's a part of business. It's part of the game. And if they stay and they haven't been developed, well, now they're dragging down everyone else with them, and it's even a worse problem.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because tonight I'm actually having dinner with Rachel and Alan Cosgrove.
Oh, very cool.
And Jay and Jen Ferrugia. I will. Yeah.
So I want to change gears a little bit. You work with a lot of entrepreneurs and helping them break through and kind of going from doing okay or doing well to doing great and achieving their potential. Yeah. What does your process look like? How did you start doing that, rather than just maybe helping someone build a better gym, to really taking an entrepreneur and helping them progress across the board?
So oftentimes any entrepreneur that comes to me will say, I have a marketing problem. And I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. Jason Phillips, I think he's been on your podcast before. Yeah. He's now a private consulting client of mine. And the dude's doing really well. Let's just say he's doing really, really well. And he spent $0 on marketing. And as we're on the phone, he goes, I have no idea where my leads are coming from. But I know I need to systemize my marketing, right? I need to systemize my marketing. I need a better closing percentage. I go, well, what is your closing percentage? I don't know. it's like a GPS. If you don't know where we want to go, if it's San Diego to Chino Hills, but you don't have an address, you'll end up in Chino Hills, kind of, sort of, maybe in Corona.
One day,
right? And so really where most people think they need marketing help or whatever, I started asking him more questions like, what is your workload like? He goes, I've got 100 clients that I train. We've got 670 clients total. 100 of them I write the programs for. I'm like, dude, how does that impact your content creation? Oh, dude, I never have time for content. I used to. No, I don't. And do you think that's impacting your marketing? Yeah. So we don't need more marketing help. We need to actually trim away the work that he's doing. See, he's doing work that's no longer in his 5%. An example of that is, if I need toilet paper in our restrooms here, sure, I'm the owner of the building. I can put toilet paper in, and I could even wipe down counters. Or I could hire someone for $20 or less per hour to do it. Or I can delegate it to someone to get it done. And so oftentimes, the entrepreneurs who want to take that next leap are still doing things that's making them $1 million a year. They're not doing the activities that's going to make them $10 million a year. So my job is to go, what are you doing, and how can we change that? And I help them become better leaders and delegators and hire a better team around them, rather than just give them more of their problem, which is, here's more marketing strategies. Well, that just slows them down further. More marketing strategies means he takes on more clients, his coaches take on more, but he doesn't know how to scale. And then they have new problems, which is bad customer service. And I created that because I'm a bad coach. So a good coach goes, let me dig deeper and see how you're the problem. Oftentimes, it's always the leader that's the problem, and not the systems or the marketing or the team. It's always the leader, and I work on the leader first.
We've given that advice, and we've talked to a lot of business owners that, like, getting them to stop coaching.
Yeah.
So many clients, and they're like, oh, I love it, I love it. And I could not give that up. You know, what do you tell that person? Because, I mean, I've talked to some people where we're like, hey, you got to get out of the trenches, and so you can see the big picture.
Yeah.
And the ones that go, okay. Like, we had actually our first mastermind member, Adi, she had over 100 people. She runs Working Against Gravity, and she had over 100 people she was managing, and then she had like 5 or 6 other coaches. And I was like, okay, in the next 6 months, you got to get down to 10. And she was just like, oh, I don't know. But she did it. Like 2 months later, she was down to like almost none. Yeah. She said, this was the best thing that ever happened to me. And she was still worked with a handful of people because she loved doing it. But, and she's somebody who adopts things very easily. That's rare. Most people don't adopt these suggestions so easily. Some people are much more resistant to it. The person who's resistant to it, you know, how do you break through with them? Or do you just say, you know what, fuck it, go do your own thing?
No. Actually, I walked them through, and I learned this from Kevin, my therapist. See, I thought a good therapist is supposed to go, now go do this, and you'll have less anxiety. He would just ask a lot of questions. So when do you have it? Well, typically when I'm typing up an email, and it's like, I got to take a pee real bad, but I'm like, I'm not going to go pee unless I finish this email and clear out my inbox. He goes, well, what does that do? It's, well, the pain and the anxiety, hungry, lonely, angry, tired. Yeah, you start getting angry when you have to pee, and you don't because you put some weird restriction on yourself. Go pee, idiot, right? What a simple concept. And so they just ask questions. So I show them, the entrepreneur, the contradiction in their goals. So what is your goal? Well, I want to have 1,400 clients. How many do you have now? 600. Great. What do you need to do? I need to clear up my schedule so I can hire better staff, and I can do the selling and then hand them off. Okay, so how many clients do you have? 100. All right, so you got to get rid of those 100 people. No, I can't. But I show them the contradiction. But did you see what you just said? You needed to get rid of those people to scale to 1,400. But you're never going to scale if you operate at this level, and you're holding on to pennies and wondering why you can't pick up those dollars. And so once I show them the contradiction that they have that aha moment. So our job as coaches are to bring our clients to the aha moment and expose the contradiction, and then they go, here's how I would fix it. And typically I ask them, so if you were me, what would you tell yourself? You got to get rid of those people. By when? Well, at least half of them in the next 30 days. And what about the next half? The 30 days to come after that? And who are you going to get rid of them to? Well, I got to start finding trainers. How do you find trainers? And I walk them through the process, and Kevin calls it following the anxiety trail. I just say following the money trail, right? You just ask the right questions, and they give me the answers as though they're coaching themselves. And when you hear those words coming out of your own mouth, it's infinitely more valuable than me saying this is what you should do.
Yeah.
You find it's a lot easier to consult with many different types of people because now you don't have to have all the answers. You know, and now it's whether you're consulting someone in a real estate business or a fitness business, now the process as a consultant becomes very similar in both cases, as opposed to having to have all the answers because you know everything about real estate and all the answers because you know everything about fitness.
That's exactly it. I love these days, I consult so many, from New York Times bestselling authors to doctors, dentists, chiropractors, lawyers. Majority of my business is still fitness because that's the world that I'm in. It just so happens when these other industry experts, gurus, thought leaders, whatever, find me, I'll work with them. But it's really neat because I can pull from examples. Oh, I saw the dentist who had that problem, and you're a chiropractor. Here's how we solved it for him, right? So it really helps to borrow from other examples and deploy versus going, gee, I don't know how. Let's figure it out together. So the more experience I have in business, the better coach I become. Yeah.
I think people not knowing that that's kind of how therapists can work in some cases, keeps people from going to therapy. Because if I'm a fitness person and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm supposed to go get a therapist, I'm thinking, well, that person's not going to know anything about fitness. Like they're not going to know what to tell me what to do. How are they going to know? And so I don't go see that person because I don't understand that they're not supposed to have all the answers. They're going to help me find my own answers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so we as entrepreneurs can be so hypocritical. I want to grow my business to 1,400 locations or 1,400 clients, whatever it is that you want. Well, how many clients do you have right now? I've got 100 of my own. Are you ever going to grow to 1,400 clients if this happens? So once you show the hypocrisy in what they're saying, but typically, what does the saying goes? That the same brain that got you into the problem is not going to get you out of the problem. And so this is where we go to a therapist, a coach, a mentor, and go, all right, guys, here's the problem with my box. And when they come to you with a problem with their box, you've heard it, seen it all. Especially you guys run a mastermind. You go, oh, the guy in Bangalore who ran a box had that problem, and so yours is similar. Let me make an introduction. Let me make a connection. So if I don't have the answer, someone in my network does. And that is the value of a good mentor, a good coach.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what's next for you. We're standing in your new office location. You guys are just moving in right now, which I assume that means you're expanding in some way, or you're on good times at the moment.
We are on good times.
So what
Jay-Z's on his way.
What's the vision for the next? Yeah, that's right. What's the vision for the next year? Where are you guys heading right now?
So our goal really is to get to 3,000 Fit Body Bootcamp locations by the year 2020. I realize it's an aggressive goal. If I hit 2,000 locations, I'm still happy, right? Because I set really high aggressive goals. One thing I used to not do when I was younger, I'm 42 now, so I still consider myself young, but I would set smaller goals and then hit them, and I'd be proud of myself. I'd pat myself on the back. Yeah. These days, if I hit a goal, I go, fuck, I should have set a bigger goal. Yeah. So any advice I can give right now, I know we're going off topic, is set bigger goals because you'll regret it when you're older. Set bigger goals, and even if you don't achieve them, it's still going to be better than what you would have achieved. And so where I'm headed now is, one, we want to grow Fit Body Bootcamp, and number two, I've got 4 books that I'm writing. I'm writing the first of 4 now. And Ben Bella is my publisher. The first one is called Man Up, Cut Your Bullshit and Dominate Your Path. And it's about entrepreneurs who are stuck in that they know they can achieve this higher level of success. They know they've got all the expertise, knowledge, wisdom to get there, but there's something stopping them. And it's usually either leadership, team, or lack of clarity on vision. And so Man Up is about getting those 3 pillars in line, and then all of a sudden you have the quantum leap.
I really like that. When is that going to come out, do you think?
Summer of 2018. So this is one of my last podcasts that I'm doing, and I stopped doing podcasts because all of June I spend writing the book. So after June 30th, my manuscript is due to the publisher. And then, of course, they start doing whatever they're doing to get the book out and get on Amazon bookstores and hopefully, be able to expose it and get on the New York Times bestseller list.
Nice.
Perfect. Is that an enjoyable process for you, writing a book?
It's so out of my comfort zone that for the first time in a long time, I'm experiencing what our clients experience. When you go, hey, you got to go do this on Facebook, but they've never run a Facebook ad. So they'll go and clip their fingernails and go get set another PR on the deadlift. And right, man,
I was just pouring another cup of coffee. I'm like, I'm going to write coffee.
As soon as exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
you know what? The waves are cool. Waves
yeah,
are good. Yeah,
lots of sharks. I'm going in anyway, right? yeah. I would rather get attacked by a shark right now than honestly than write a chapter in my book, and I've put it off for so long. But now
that's a possibility. We can just go right now.
That could actually very well happen, especially in our neck of the woods here. But the bottom line is, I'm dealing with resistance. I'm feeling the resistance, and I kind of like it because it's been so long, and I'm so out of my zone of genius. I've never written a book, and so I reach out to Lewis and I go, hey, Lewis, how do I write a knockout book? I've got all this content. And he goes, dude, it has to be like this big. Go look at Crush It. You can finish it in like one airplane flight. Oh, okay, great. Hey, JJ Virgin, can you show me your outline? Yes. Right. So all these people who thankfully I know and have helped in their business, I'm now begging them to show me some guidance, and they're being so grateful. I'm so grateful that they are. So Lewis is like, hey, here's my manuscript, and here's the outline, and then here's 3 publishers that you should connect with, and he'll do that. So thankfully, I'm making good connections, but I'm so out of my comfort zone about writing a book. And when you think about it, this is going to be final. Once I hand it over to them, it's it. What if I want to change a page, a topic, or whatever? But whatever. I just stop psyching myself out and start writing.
Well, that's going to be hard because had I taken what I was thinking and doing a year ago and then go, oh, this is what I think now, that would be a challenge. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Like the me next year is going to have more content. Like,
well, this is the thing about
book 2.
This is the thing about personal growth and being at the level you're at is once you're like you're at a snowball effect. I'm assuming.
I am.
Right, and it's like the amount of growth that you'll experience in the next year is like 10 times more than you did the year before.
Yeah, and so if I just keep waiting, well, one more year, I will literally never write the book. And so I'm at a point now where I pretty much have the answers for most businesses that are trying to scale from, let's say, 1 to 3 million to 5, 10, 20 million. Which is the path that we've taken. And I know what I did when I was kind of hovering around 1 to 3 million, and I'd start upper limiting when I get to 3.1, 3.2, 3.5, and start going back down. I knew what my problem was. I was trying to be a fighter jet, but I was a crop duster. I was waking up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and not 5. And when I didn't have lists to work off of. So I'd sit there and wonder, all right, so what's on Facebook? What's on Instagram? What's my friend talking about? Today, it's a whole different morning ritual. I'm more disciplined. Structure equals freedom. Like, my mindset is so different than my expectation. That my team is so different, and my vision is so clear on where we're headed that there's no way I won't get there. So it's a really neat process to be able to problem solve not only my problems, but then help others who are where I was and help them make that leap. But like you said, I'm snowballing. So if I just wait another year, sure, I'll have more wisdom. But then a year later, I'll have even more. So I got to write that book, and the rest of the books will come in the future.
I imagine a lot of people listening are probably just trying to break into 6 figures or 7 figures. It's like, oh, I'm just trying to get my gym from $150,000 a year to $300,000 a year, and I think it's refreshing to hear somebody who's like, oh, you're still having to deal with this. You're like, oh, I'm in 8 figures, but if I need to get to the next level, I have to work on myself. Yeah. And having somebody that's at the level you're at say that out loud, and people can hear that and go, oh, wow. Like even though he's achieved this much, he still recognizes he has to do this. So there's really no excuse for not working on yourself.
And I feel the fear on a daily basis, man. Like the idea of writing a book, and that book represents me and my brand and what I stand for. But I have to do it, right? And so, sure, man, I wish I could sit here and lie to you and go, man, it's a piece of cake, and I got all the great people helping me. I got a ghostwriter. I don't, because I hired a ghostwriter. I didn't like the way they were writing, even though they interviewed me, and they were going to find my voice, and I'll do it myself. It's painful. It gives me anxiety, but I've got the tools to deal with the anxiety.
Got the therapist.
That's it. I got the team. I'm going to go to Red Rock and hike with a unicorn.
Highly effective.
Very, very.
So regarding personal development, you're running a personal development-centric company. You're running masterminds. For you personally, though, being at the top of all those things, what is your number one thing right now that is helping you develop as a person?
Gee whiz, I don't have a number one. I've got Joel Wendell helping me become, he's like a Hall of Fame speaker, old dude, leathery skin. He probably won't watch this, so he won't mind me offending him. He's the guy that has those cans that says success comes in cans. Anyway, 3,000 paid presentations. He's helping me become a better speaker. Joe Polish is connecting me with people who are going to be the engine to promote my book when it comes out. So I'm in his Genius Network group. Craig Ballantyne, who used to be a coaching client of mine, is now connecting me with people in his space who are helping me and my team become the best versions of ourselves, right? So I'm getting help from anywhere I can, because you get to a certain point where in my space here where I am in life, 1 degree of improvement, it's like water going from 211 degrees to 212 degrees, from boiling to steam. You can go 211 degrees, you can boil an egg. 212 degrees, you can power a locomotive and create motion. And so where I am now, if I can get 1 more degree of improvement, that is another $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in a month in revenue gained. And to me, money is just a barometer of impact. That means that's more trainers I've helped, and through those trainers, I've helped more end users get in better shape, which at the end of the day, what am I doing? I'm still that fat, broke kid, and so I'm helping people get unfat and not broke.
Yeah.
So when you look at my whole business model, it's just the fat, foreign, broke kid is still fixing himself. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
On a bigger scale.
What you mentioned morning routine and having discipline. What does that look like for you right now?
Wake up at 5 a.m., but before I wake up at 5 a.m., at 8 p.m., I open up my iPhone, my notes. And
by the way, yeah. I'm finding as I interview more and more people that the evening routine
that's where it's
part of the morning.
It's like
routine.
the morning routine is important, but a lot of people are now saying the evening routine is really where it's at.
It starts in the evening. So I used to be this guy, and again, it's like, I can't believe he's talking about it. I used to be the guy who'd lay in bed at night looking at Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and see what the world is saying. And of course, there's people, fuck Trump, fuck Hillary.
How else am I going to get my dopamine before I sleep?
Right, exactly, right? So I'd go to sleep, but look at all the influence I had right before sleeping. So I had interrupted sleep patterns, right? I had no list to work off. So today, my phone, again, I credit Craig Valentine on this, I shut off my phone at 8 p.m., but right before I shut it off, I go into my notes section and I write down the 3 to 5 things that I'm going to do tomorrow morning, from the most valuable thing first on the list to the least valuable that's going to move my business forward, right? So it's usually, that's my 5%, and it's delegate, motivate, sell. So I might delegate to business partners and team members. I might motivate my customers to take action by writing a blog post, an email, making a pitch video. And of course, I might take a piece of sales copy and improve it and try and get better conversion, or a sales video and improve it. Those are the things that I work on. So I work on my 5% from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. So make the list the night before, turn off the phone. In the morning, my phone is on silent, upside down, and pushed away from me, because I'm human, and I see that little Facebook temptation come up, and I want to see who liked what. But if it's pushed away and on silent and upside down, I don't see it, I don't hear it, and therefore I'm locked in onto my computer. By 9 a.m., I head to the gym, get a typical meathead workout in, and then I come here, and now I'll be showering. Instead of just having a hat head, I can shower, and then the day starts at around 11 a.m. for me in the office. My work day starts at 6 a.m. I wake up at 5, protein shake, coffee, water, play with Cookie. You guys met Cookie, my dog. By 6 a.m. I'm on the couch, and that's what Craig calls the magic time, uninterrupted time. And he told me this one thing before. It's obviously a bit woo-woo, but I believe it. He says, when you start doing your work early in the morning, the rest of the world is asleep. So if there was, let's say, 10 million pounds of creativity on this planet, and it's spread amongst everyone who's awake, if more of the people are asleep, I get to tap into more of that creativity and chi. I don't know if it's true, but I believe it, and therefore I tap into it in the morning.
Totally.
Google, and it works.
Google morphic resonance. It all makes sense.
There it is.
If that's theory is spot on.
Hey,
possibly.
If it believes you and it helps you,
right.
It works.
That's it.
Yeah.
If it believes you.
Yeah, if it believes you.
Bedros is so badass, it believes him. He's just like,
Right, it believes me.
Don't believe everything.
The theory believes me. Yeah,
That's right.
awesome, man.
So it's been quite the adventure.
So you do the morning. So you have the couch time. What happens after? So you have your creativity. Is that blog entries? Like what kind of things are happening on the couch?
Good question. So what happens on the couch? I never get customer support emails or anything, because I don't want to have an email. Look, all day long people are asking for refunds. It's a business.
Yeah.
I don't want to get those emails. I don't want to get the emails that says, here's how much money we've got going out for this building and for the curtains and the bookshelves. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see anything negative. I just want to see applications coming in for our franchise. So I review those applications, make sure my sales team is going to attack the right ones, right? Qualify the right ones, etc. Make sure, now we have people that run our Facebook ads. We spend about $200,000 a month on Facebook ads. I don't run our ads anymore, but I look at them every morning, look at the stats, which ones are converting, which ones are just sucking out money, so I can communicate with my ad management team. And then it'll be a broadcast that I'll write that I'll send to my email list. I'll use the little suction cup thingy that I showed you, right? Where I pop it onto a piece of glass, pop my iPhone in there. I'll make a motivational video for my mastermind group for the Fit Body Bootcamp owners, because we have all these private groups on Facebook. So it's things to motivate them for the day, inspire them, give them marching orders. And then I'll make one for just, like right now, we're doing a Facebook Live. Stuff like this is within my 5%, right? And so once I get all that done by 9 a.m., I'm in the gym working out. And now I've done all the self-care stuff. I've done all the stuff that moves my business forward. Now I can come here and be a good leader and coach to my team who needs a piece of me. Hey, how do I run this? Or we have this complaint about that. Or we have too much growth in this state and we have to shut down franchising in that state. I can make those decisions that aren't necessarily game changers, but I got to make those decisions.
Yeah.
So, apologize. What was the 5% concept again?
The 5%. So here's how I learned the 5% concept, and I've never heard anyone talk about this. When I had my first employee, we were working out of my guest bedroom at the tiny little house that we used to own here, and I sold my coaching program for $2,500 a year is what it cost. It was like dirt cheap. Today it's $50,000 a year. But it was $2,500 a year. I sent out an email and said, call this number and we'll talk on the phone. If we're a good fit, you pay $2,500. I coach you in your fitness business for a year. My assistant's name was Marilyn. I said, Marilyn, my wife needs me to go down there and fix a broken sprinkler pipe in our front yard. And I'm pretty handy. So I went down there, but I'd already sent out that email. I said, you've heard me close these sales a lot. When someone calls, pick up the phone, you got this girl, close it. Close the $2,500 sale, and then tell them that tomorrow I'll be on the phone with them coaching. So I've got mud up to here, and I'm working on the pipe. Marilyn comes down. She goes, hey, man, this guy's giving me all these objections. I don't know how to get over these objections. Can you come up? I go, Marilyn, look at me. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. You got this. I believe in you. She went up there. She lost the sale because that's not in her zone of genius. She's my assistant. She's supposed to just air traffic control leads and clients, etc., not do the closing. So I did something that was outside of my zone of genius. I fixed a sprinkler, and I lost $2,500 when I could have paid someone $20 to do that. In that moment, I realized the sprinkler is not on my 5%. So my wife would go, hey, the lights are out. Hey, the garbage needs to be taken out. And I just would walk around and think, that's not on my 5%. That's not on my 5%. She goes, well, listen.
Sure, she loved that.
Right.
Yep. I can't wait to tell my wife all this stuff.
Yeah.
This is what I learned from Bedros today.
I'm going to give my wife your phone number.
So she goes, listen, asshole, someone's got to change the light bulb. Someone's got to take out the garbage.
That's what my wife's going to say, too.
Get a housekeeper. Get a full-time housekeeper. So now we've got a full-time housekeeper, and we've got a house manager who the housekeeper does the laundry. It's pretty much like a second wife, right? Does the laundry, gets the foods and all this stuff. The house manager makes sure that the roof is changed, the lights are working, the building's running, etc. And that allows me to work in my zone of genius, to focus on my 5%. Because my assistant can't go and coach my clients, but they can go and get our laundry and buy our food and plan trips for us. And so those are the things they have to work on their zone of genius. I have to work on mine. So 5% is really your zone of genius. You identify what it is and you only do your 5%. So if 8 hours a day, I'm working on my 5%, and you're also trying to do your 5% and clean the toilets and put away the barbells, and within a year, I'm going to be miles ahead of you. And that's really...
I heard Warren Buffett say one time that the most important thing to consider when making an investment was opportunity cost. What else could I do with that money?
Yes.
And that applies in this case, too, because you're investing your time, just like you're investing your money.
Yes.
And so whenever you think about what task or thing to spend time on, it's what else could I do with that time? So in your example a second ago, like you're fixing some pipe in the yard when you could have been selling. It's what else could I do with that time? Should have been doing the higher opportunity, higher leverage, more effective thing with that time, which in the case of your example was selling a $2,500 product.
Yeah, and that was the best lesson learned. And typically as an entrepreneur, your best lessons are learned in lost money, opportunity, or time. And I've had plenty of lost of all three of those, and so now I can teach others to not lose that.
Yeah. You pump out a lot of information about, well, a lot of inspiration. You're making these videos, blog posts. Where do you draw your inspiration from? Because a lot of people are leaning on you for inspiration, so I'm assuming you're getting yours from somewhere.
You know what? I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, Brandon Bouchard, Dean Graziosi, Zig Ziglar, and so those that are alive, I try and get coaching from, right? Whether it's to become a good speaker, to get better at doing podcasts, to tell a better story, and those that are dead, I go watch their documentaries and read their books, and I have to plug in somewhere because as an entrepreneur, your clients plug into you, and you can run on empty real quick. So you got to go plug in somewhere. And that's where that self-care comes in. My car, as Brian Tracy calls it, is a university on wheels. I'm either listening to Howard Stern, a little bit of entertainment, or it's some kind of audiobook or podcast where I become a better human being. And remember, I just need 1 degree of shift in my business to make a big impact. So I'm looking out. I got my radar up. I'm looking for those 1 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Where can people find more about what you've got going on?
Best place to probably find out about what I've got going on is my blog, bedroskeuilian.com, or to find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, /Bedros Keuilian.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, man.
Yep.